But if you look at this, Meghan Markle has been incredibly quiet about the birth, but mostly the pregnancy of these children. Everything has been shady. The one who's been blabbing and saying crazy things is Prince Harry.
Why would you do that? That's not necessary.
Meghan Markle just did it again. Stood on stage, smiled into the spotlight, and dropped a story so dramatic it made Hollywood jealous. But here's the problem. The internet had receipts, and what she said doesn't add up.
It sounds fake.
Within hours, Candace Owens swooped in like a hawk, spotting glitter, and shredded Meghan's authentic comeback faster than you can say rebrand. Because when Meghan preaches truth while twisting timelines, even her fans start wondering what's actually real and what's just another perfectly lit fairy tale.
Timing is extremely odd, and the story is somewhat confusing, but I think we have to cover that.
For someone who built a brand on owning her story, Meghan seems to have a new version every season. The Netflix version, the Oprah remix, and now the Live stage reboot. It's like her life has turned into a PR choose-your-own-adventure, except the ending always makes her the victim, the hero, and the misunderstood genius all at once. And Candace Owens, she wasn't having it.
We would have to do a way deeper dive on that and see if there's more footage and pictures that are available, but you would anticipate.
She called out the contradictions, the emotional theatrics, and the never-ending pity parade. Because at this point, Meghan's authenticity feels less like empowerment and more like performance art with a royal budget. And when someone finally stands up and says it out loud, the whole mask starts to crack. But trust me, the birth story detail Candace got isn't just embarrassing, it's explosive. And what happened after that moment might be the biggest PR disaster Meghan's faced yet. But that's just the beginning.
Put up a camera, fixate it, and then both of you start twerking. Because in her mind, she was thinking, I'm gonna release this later in a Netflix doc, or release it later to show people how relatable I am. Otherwise, you can have a cute moment with your husband without recording it. Like, why would you record this for any reason? Why would you record this in the hospital?
It started with what sounded like a heartfelt confession. Meghan Markle standing center stage, voice trembling just enough to look real, retelling the miracle of her child's birth. The crowd melted, cameras flashed, but hours later, eagle-eyed viewers noticed something was off. Dates didn't match, details had quietly changed from past interviews, and that's when the whispers turned into fire. Was Meghan rewriting her own motherhood story for sympathy points? To most people, motherhood is sacred. To Meghan, critics claim it's apparently a marketing pitch, another chapter in the St. Meghan franchise she keeps editing whenever reality disagrees with her script. Candace Owens didn't need long top-outs. She called it out for what millions were already thinking. When your truth changes every time the cameras roll, maybe it was never true to begin with. The accusation hit like a thunderclap because it touched the one thing Meghan trades on, credibility.
You're wondering, why does her age matter at all? Because her age would also have an impact on her ability to have children. Because if Meghan Markle is 4 years older than what we have been led to believe, it makes it even more difficult to believe that she was able to get pregnant so quickly.
Suddenly, her authentic comeback looked less like growth and more like a desperate rewrite. A cleanup job dressed as empowerment. And once people began digging, they found digital ghosts, deleted blogs, vanished posts, missing photos. Every trace of a life too imperfect for her glossy new image. What was once vulnerability now looked like strategy. The more she polished, the faker it all felt. But as Candace peeled back the layers, she hinted this wasn't just about a story. It was about a pattern far darker than anyone expected. When Meghan dropped that new detail about her baby's birth, it sounded innocent until people started replaying her older interviews. That's when the internet detectives clocked it. She'd quietly rewritten one of the most emotional stories of her life. In her new version, the setting changed, the timeline blurred, and the tone flipped from raw struggle to polished perfection.
Her father claims that she was born in 1981. So if she was born in 1981 when Yasmin did that commercial, and like in 1997, she would have been 16 years of age, not 13.
Suddenly it wasn't a personal confession. It was PR theater dressed up as vulnerability. The contradiction hit social media like wildfire. Fans argued she simply misspoke. Critics said she got caught trying to sanitize the past again. But the timing was too perfect. Right when she's launching her reborn Meghan brand to the public. It felt like Javi, another glossy moment that didn't match reality. And when Candace Owens entered the chat, she didn't mince words. She called out the inconsistency as proof Meghan wasn't telling her truth. She wassailing it. That's what lit the fuse. What should have been a heartfelt speech turned into Exhibit A in a bigger narrative. Meghan manipulating emotion for applause. Every clip got dissected, every pause overanalyzed, every phrase spun as strategy. The audience realized they weren't watching a mother recalling her journey. They were watching an actress testing a script. And that's when Candace's next move, exposing the receipts, threatened to dismantle the entire authentic comeback Meghan had spent months crafting.
When I was just 11 years old, I unknowingly and somehow accidentally became a female advocate. A pivotal moment reshaped my notion of what is possible.
She claims that she was 13 years of age when she started to work for Humphrey Yogurt, in spite of the fact that Humphrey Yogurt has said that they have never employed anybody aged 13.
Candace Owens didn't tiptoe into this one. She stormed in like she'd been waiting for this exact moment. Within hours of Meghan's stage confession, Candace dropped a clip that spread like wildfire across X and YouTube. No hesitation, no sugarcoating. She called Meghan's narrative a soap opera of self-pity, tearing through the contradictions with surgical precision. What made it sting wasn't just the critique, it was the confidence. Candace wasn't speculating, she was documenting, pulling up archived clips, old statements, and side-by-side comparisons that exposed every shift in Meghan's story. She delivered it with that signature mix of outrage and amusement that makes people lean in. Her tone said, "I told you so," without needing to say it. And the audience loved it. Comments flooded in. Finally, someone said it. Candace just ended her. Receipts don't lie. Meghan's PR team couldn't keep up. One tweet from Candace was echoing louder than an entire Netflix special. But Owens didn't stop at the birth story lie. She zoomed out, connecting it to a bigger pattern off what she called image. The slow, careful eraser of anything that doesn't fit Meghan's perfect victim persona. It wasn't just an attack. It was dismantling. Candace turned a single inconsistency into a symbol of the larger facade. And when she hinted that the real truth was still to come, the internet collectively leaned forward, ready for the next blow that would leave Meghan's carefully curated empire trembling.
I mean, everybody has seen that commercial. It clearly starts with, when I'm Meghan Markle, I'm 12 years old. So what is going on here? Why the secrecy around this woman's birth certificate? Why the mistakes in age that are so blatant for others?
Once Candace ripped open that first thread, the whole fabric started unraveling. Every deleted photo, missing blog, and quietly edited interview began to look like part of a bigger operation. A digital spring cleaning of Meghan's past. The more people dug, the clearer the pattern became. Anything that showed cracks, contradictions, or unfiltered moments vanished. Her once casual Instagram captions gone. Old friends who told inconvenient stories unfollowed, erased, replaced with brand-safe allies. It was as if authenticity had a legal team. Meghan wasn't just rebranding. She was rewriting. One deletion at a time, Candace framed it perfectly. When someone keeps curating the evidence, maybe they're not evolving, maybe theory editing. And that line hit hard because it explained everything the public had been sensing for years, that Meghan's version of realness felt suspiciously rehearsed, like every imperfection was a prop. What started as a single questionable story now looked like a calculated habit. Control the narrative, erase the inconvenient, and sell the polished version to the world. But Candace wasn't done exposing the pattern. She was about to connect it to something deeper. A mindset that could make Meghan's next authentic comeback her most dangerous one yet. Candace didn't just call out Meghan's actions. She dissected the mindset behind them.
Her childhood was with me.
There's nothing original here.
I hope you're having the best birthday you've ever had. Thank you for everything.
Which is really such a
According to her, this wasn't random behavior. It was the signature of someone obsessed with control. Every post, every pose, every word Meghan releases feels filtered through a focus group in her own head that is not spontaneity. It's strategy. Candace painted a portrait of a woman terrified of imperfection, terrified of losing grip on how she's seen. To her, Meghan's not chasing authenticity. She's chasing applause disguised as truth. And that's the irony. The more she tries to look relatable, the more robotic she becomes. Candace compared it to a performance addiction, where the spotlight becomes oxygen and validation replaces vulnerability. It's not that Meghan can't be real. It's that being real doesn't test well with her brand. The tears, the trembling voice, the dramatic pauses, they're all choreography. And once you start noticing the pattern, it's impossible to unsee it. Candace framed it perfectly. She's not sharing her story. She's producing it. That one line summed it up. Meghan's not living a life. She's directing a series. And the scariest part, she's convinced it's real. Once Candace dropped her tape, the internet detonated. Clips from her segment flooded every feed. Commentary channels, gossip accounts, political threads, all dissecting Meghan's so-called birth story reveal. Hashtags erupted overnight, mixing royal drama with pop culture chaos. One side defended Meghan as a misunderstood mother. The other hailed Candace as the only one brave enough to see what everyone was thinking. Memes appeared within hours, splicing Meghan's tearful speech with Candace's sarcastic clapbacks. News outlets couldn't resist the clickbait gold mine, framing it as authenticity versus accountability.
This is a copy of 17 magazine. It was published in March of 1997. In it mentions our Megzy is from Los Angeles and that she was 21 years old at the time of publication. That would make her birth year at around 1976.
And that's when the narrative spiraled out of Meghan's control. Every word she'd ever said was suddenly under a microscope. Old footage resurfaced. Timelines were cross-checked, contradictions cataloged like evidence seen at courtroom. The story stopped being about a single lie. It became a referendum on Meghan's entire brand. Candace didn't just spark debate. She hijacked the conversation. For the first time, Meghan wasn't dictating the narrative. The public was. The louder her team tried to steer the story back to empowerment, the more people laughed. And as the views climbed into millions, one truth became undeniable. The internet wasn't buying the performance anymore. As the storm kept building, one name started trending alongside Meghan as Harry. He wasn't even on stage. Yet somehow, he ended up in the crossfire. Every headline, every tweet asked the same question. How long can he keep defending her? For a man who once vowed to protect his family's privacy, he's now trapped in a spotlight brighter than ever. Each time Meghan's story shifts, Harry's silence screams louder. The public started seeing him less as a prince and more as a bystander in his own life. A man watching his reputation evaporate while trying to keep peace of film. Candace didn't spare him either. She suggested his loyalty had turned into blind obedience. The internet agreed, calling him the royal hostage of Hollywood. It was brutal, but it hit a nerve. Harry's every expression, from interviews to paparazzi shots, was analyzed for hidden frustration. Meghan's controversy had become his burden. What began as her image war was now eating away at both of them. And for the first time, cracks were showing, not in her brand, but in their unity. The question wasn't just whether Meghan could recover, but whether Harry still wanted to fight beside her. The press smelled blood in the water, and suddenly Meghan's empowerment tour turned into a full-blown damage control circus. Morning shows debated whether she'd misspoken or masterminded a single stunt. Tabloids plastered split-screen headlines. Meghan crying on stage on one side, Candace smirking on the other. Even neutral outlets couldn't resist the rating spike. Every commentator had a theory. PR stunt, meltdown, or calculated distraction. What made it worse was the audience fatigue. People were simply tired of being told to believe her truth after watching it change so many times.
What if Meghan Markle was adopted? What is there more to her birth than just her age? Could it be that she doesn't know her own age because she's been lied to by her father and mother? Could it be that's why Doria doesn't have a bond with Meghan Markle? Because what mother leaves her daughter when she's 3 or 4 years?
Meanwhile, Candace kept the pressure on, using each new interview as fresh ammunition. She framed the chaos as proof that honesty still matters. While Meghan's team scrambled to reframe the narrative a Sanither attack on women of color, the spin didn't land. Viewers weren't angry. They were amused, watching the once untouchable Duchess stumble through the same media maze she used to command. The contrast was cinematic, a self-styled truth-teller cornered by her own contradictions. And as the dust settled, one reality was impossible to ignore. Meghan had lost control of a story, and Candace now owned the spotlight she once ruled. Trust me, it's unfiltered chaos you need to see to believe. You're watching trending stories, where the shine fades, the truth burns, and the masks finally slip, because here we don't chase celebrity, we expose it.